Cannon Phil Harris is a priest, and it's not because, of course, I've gone a bit soft. I can't stand religion. But Cannon Phil Harris
One of them's got to be right.
And not necessarily at all, no. Joins us now because I saw him on social media make a really, really good point as to who is to blame for the riots. Phil, welcome. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, James. Bit unexpected, but here I am nevertheless.
Well, I'm sorry it's such a extreme right-wing media, but you're more than welcome. When I watched your tweet or your
speech, wasn't it? It was like a speech.
It was a speech. I was very moved, but briefly, obviously, who do you think and why these riots happened? I'm not talking about the riots, actually. Let me rephrase that, because the scumbags who committed all those atrocities, jail them forever. But
yeah,
what
agreed.
brought all the other people out on the streets? What has caused this feeling
civil unrest
and feeling that some people are just not being listened to and understood?
I think, James and Ash, the nation for some time now has been going down an agenda, down a road with an agenda that we necessarily didn't consent to. And that road has arrived at a T-junction at some point. And people have had to make a choice. Did they follow the direction of the arrow to the right, which actually said traditional Judeo-Christian British values based on a historical way of life of democracy, rule of law, individual liberty, mutual respect, tolerance of different faiths, limited controlled migration based on the needs of the nation? Or was it the left road where the direction of travel, say, state control and fetid immigration with open borders, DEI, internationalism, globalization, loss of monarchy, and people have travelled down one of those two roads.
Yeah, but the vast majority are on the right, but they're not represented in the political classes, the institutions, and they're getting trampled on.
Not even the Conservative government did a decent job. We left the European Union, quite rightly in my view, so that we could control our country properly.
Well, our own laws, yeah. That was it. It wasn't racist.
We haven't done it. We've given lip service to it, I think, as Nigel Farage has said quite often, and been labelled as one of the antagonists, and he isn't. Yeah. I've known Nigel's been a friend of mine for 20-odd years, and I think he's getting a lot of flack from the mainstream media just because they feel they can, and nobody is going to fight back. Well, I tell you, social media can fight back, all kinds of media can fight back now, but we need to actually make this a fair, decent country, a multi-racial country, but not multicultural. We can't, that just doesn't work.
And James, there's the problem. There's a clash of cultures. And because people have gone down a left road or a right road, the people that have gone down the left and have travelled down there for a period of time are in a completely different space to those of us that I would say are centrist. And I've been very keen. I don't think typically, you know, I'm a priest in the Church of God. My role is to bring reconciliation, and my role is to shepherd the flock. However, we've got to a point where we are literally so divided. And I put a second video out that talked about what triggered it for me, which was people who are centrist are now being branded far right.
Is that intentional, though, to separate us, divide us and rule? Because we're less powerful?
I think it is.
So I don't think it was intentional. I think that that's what's organically happened, and what we have now is a government, and governments, by the way, because I agree that the previous government as well, this isn't about being necessarily conservative or Labour or anything else. It's about the fact that we've created a division in our nation based on the fact now that we've got two opposite poles. Brexit highlighted that. And then we've arrived where we are, where we're so divided, and we have two opposite cultures in the land.
But the governments, both governments are on the one side, and yes, the majority aren't being represented in what's meant to be a democracy.
And I think the reason why
25 years.
Yes, exactly. So the reason why I made the point in the video that I did was that 20%, that was the vote that the supermajority have got in government. And that has left behind the traditional centrist people who were the middle of the road, who gave everything for the nation traditionally, who are not racist at all. And I think that that's another agenda that is really, really problematic. If you are concerned about open borders, then you're racist. If you are concerned about the rise of radical Islam, you suffer from Islamophobia. If you have both of those in your thinking, you are far right.
Aren't people, sorry about this, Phil, but aren't people like you to blame as well? When you think of the Christianity and you think of the missionaries and you think of all the interfering people with their religions, isn't that, in a way, what Islam is trying to do now? If Islam could, they could turn every country, and
I suppose they are missionaries trying to bring
some
their
people
religion.
are saying, you know,
and they're winning, aren't they?
Britain will become the first Islamic country with a nuclear deterrent.
I understand, Mr. James. You're very clear about your religious views, and that's perfectly fine. I've got, and that's actually part of the conversation, isn't it? The tolerance of religious freedom, etc. However, I would disagree with that, because there is an agenda, and we're seeing it now, and this is my concern. And I want to be very clear: I am not against Muslims. I am against a situation that seeks to subjugate the nation. So there are concessions that are being made that are wholly unapplicable. And you can say, well, aren't we to blame? I think Christianity, and there is a difference between Christianity and Judaism and other religions. And Christianity is about what God has done for us.
Well, God hasn't done. No, hang on. There is no proof there is a God. I mean, I know people like you will tell me there is, but in my view, there isn't. And look, I'm terminally ill. I'm probably going to find out in the very near future. But I'm not saying that for people to say, oh, that's sad. No, I don't. A lot of people probably don't say that anyway. But I think this whole thing about certain religions who believe in this being that, I suppose could exist, but more likely something else more explainable if we were further in the future. Religion has been there to control, and that's what you all do. You try to control. Christianity was the same. The Crusades are nothing to be proud of.
So throughout history, where people are involved, there's always a problem. The difference, and I just wanted to finish this point, if you would let me, what Christianity is about is not subjugation. It's a free choice of people coming to God. Now, yes, there's stains in history of Christianity because humans were involved, but that isn't the point. What we have at the moment is people who are dictating terms. So I can't, for instance, go to any Islamic country and start a church.
Okay. I know where you're going with this. I'm being told I've got to go to a commercial break, but I'd love you to come on the show one evening, Phil. Come in the studio and we can
I'd love to do that.
Have this discussion at a better time face to face. Would be good. Phil, thank you very much indeed.